This is Venkatesh, final year postgraduate from Professor Dr. T. Tolkapin Sir's unit, greetings from Government Stanley Medical College and Hospital. I am going to present the topic on lumbar spondylolisthesis. What is spondylolisthesis? It is a forward slippage of one vertebra on its adjacent caudal segment. That is, cranial segment slipped over the caudal segments. It may be anterospondylolisthesis and or posterospondylolisthesis or retrolisthesis. What is meant by spondylolysis? It is a defect in pars intraarticularis. After the fracture or defect in pars intraarticularis, it lead on to listhesis. I will come to the later on what is meant by pars intraarticularis, how it happen on pathophysiology of spondylolisthesis. What is meant by spondylolisthesis? It is a fall of L5 vertebra into the pelvis. That is, it is like L5 vertebra lies anterior to the sacrum. What is meant by spondylolysis? Already again explained to that is a defect in pars intraarticularis. That is non-slipped pars defect is called spondylolysis. It will lead to listhesis. That is called spondylolisthesis. Coming to the history, that is a Belgian obstetrician named Erpinex noted a bony prominence in front of the sacrum that causes problems in delivery. It is described 200 years back. After 60 years, Phelan coined the term spondylolisthesis, derived from the Greek. Spondylus means vertebra and oblique means to slip. That is anterolisthesis, simply called spondylolisthesis. Here you see the L4 vertebra slipped over the L5 vertebra. Then retrolisthesis, that is L1 vertebra slipped backwards to the L2 vertebra. Coming to the newer terminologies, specific to the spondylolisthesis, you all know about what is maybe pars intraarticularis. That is pars intraarticularis containing the bone. It is a part of bone between the superior and inferior articulating process. It is the thinnest part of the vertebra. I will explain later also. What is meant by neurology? It is a posterior element of the vertebra that surrounds the spinal cord. What is meant by facet joint? It is a junction between the superior and inferior articular process. What is meant by Mohs segment? It is important when it is talking about what is called T-leaf. P-leaf, that is the motion segment is blocked because the functional unit of spine consisting of two adjacent vertebra and a intervertebral disc along with the facet joint surrounding capsule and ligaments. You all know about what is pedicle, what is lamina. What is pars? It's more what is pars intraarticularis? It is a region between the superior and inferior articular parts of the vertebra. It is the weakest part of the neuralized, susceptible to stress fractures. You will see about it is see on the oblique view. You see on the between the superior and inferior articular process. You will see the pars intraarticularis. This is transverse process. This is spinous process. This is superior process. This is inferior process. Pars intraarticularis connect pedicles and lamina also. These are pars intraarticularis. The break in the pars intraarticularis, that is here. You see the defect. It is a collar defect in the Scotty stalk. You see on the oblique radiograph, oblique view of the X-ray, spine vertebral X-ray. We'll say here contributed much of the contribution towards spondylolisthesis classification under posterior fixation system. Coming to the classification of spondylolisthesis, there are 6 types. First we'll say described 5 types only. First one, dysplastic. Dysplastic is more of developmental abnormalities. It is a L5 vertebra and S1 vertebra developmental abnormalities included in the dysplastic. That is coming to explain later also. But here it is no pars intraarticularis defect. Only congenital abnormalities and are developmental abnormality of L5 vertebra and S1 vertebra that causes slippage of L5 over S1. What is meant isthmic? What is meant by isthmus? That is isthmus is the narrowest part. The narrowest part is here is pars intraarticularis. So the defect in pars intraarticularis causes slippage of L5 over S1. There are 3 types of isthmic spondylolisthesis. First one is stress fracture of pars intraarticularis. Then pars intraarticularis fracture is fracture. Again, it's united, but it causes elongated. That is third type is acute fracture of pars intraarticularis. That is fracture. Third type is degenerative type. Here the Facet joint causes goes for osteoarthritis, leads on to segmental instability. What is fourth type is traumatic fracture other than pars interarticularis, such as pedicle, lamina, or facet. No pars interarticularis fracture is included in the ischemic. Fifth one, pathologic. Here it is metabolic bone disease, tuberculosis, tumor is included in the pathologic. It will five times. You again will explain one by one. Dysplastic, that is L5 vertebra or S1 congenital developmental defect is dysplastic. Isthmus is pars interarticularis defect. Degenerative is facet joint osteoarthritis. Traumatic is fracture other than pars interarticularis. Fifth type is metabolic bone disease, tumors, any infections, tuberculosis, such as tuberculosis. It will include in the pathologic type. Here coming to the age group, dysplastic will it is again I already explained, it is a developmental defect. It is manifested in the childhood itself. It is a congenital dysplasia of L5 S1 superior facet. It is ischemic. It is a pars interarticularis defect. It is included in the 5 to 50 years age group. Degenerative is more of facet joint osteoarthritis is more than included in the 40 years. Traumatic pathology is more of any age. It is traumatic is again acute fracture of pars. Pathologic is incompetence, that is infection, tumors, metabolic disease is included in the pathology. Post surgical is excessive resection of posterior arches, that is called pedicles, lamina. Is excessive resection will causes into the spondylolisthesis. It is a post surgical. So totally 6 steps. Coming to the epidemiology, it is 5 to 8% of general population. Males are more prone to but slippage is more common in the females. Incident children less than 6 at 2.6%. Eskimos of Alaska report incident up to 50%. Degenerative spondylosis is more common in the females. Ischemic spondylosis have higher degree of familial and genetic associations. Coming to the Wilsey, Newman, and Vector classification, that is 6 types I have described. That is described one by one. We'll see. Type 1 is a congenital abnormalities of upper sacral facet or inferior facets of fifth lumbar vertebra. No pars interarticular. Again, I will explain clearly. No pars interarticular defect is included in the dysplastic type. Dysplastic changes either it is rounding of it is a rounding of L5 sacral vertebral body, or trapezoid or wedging of L5, rounding of S1, wedging of L5 vertebral body, or vertical sacrum. Sacrum is more of horizontal, but its vertical sacrum causes slippage, then junctional hyposis, and a compensatory hyperlordosis. Here, see that common hyperlordosis. Almost 45 types of lumbosacral junction is described. More of vertical lumbosacral junctions prone to spondylolisthesis. What is the hook and catch concept of dysplastic spondylolisthesis? Here, hook is formed by the upper vertebral body, that is pedicles, superior articular process, then pars interarticularis. Catch is formed by the inferior part of the articular process. If catch is not well developed, hook is not going to work at any level. Type 2, what is meant by ischemic? That is again ischemic is narrow spot, that is pars interarticular defect. Already explained 3 types, that is stress fracture of pars interarticularis, healed fracture like pars interarticularis, but it is healed but it's elongated. Third type is acute fracture of pars interarticularis. If coming to the biomechanics in ischemic, what is biomechanics? 80% of spinal loading is through the anterior vertebral body, 20% is through the posterior. If posterior is going to, that is acute fracture of pars interarticularis, then more of 100% body weight is transmitted to the anterior. It will lead to subluxations. Coming to the third type, that is facet joint arthropathy, causes spondylolisthesis. Fourth type, already explained, it is a fracture of the vertebra other than pars interarticularis. Already explained, multiple myeloma, osteogenesis imperfecta, tuberculosis, all included in the pathologic. Due to loss of posterior elements, secondary surgery is included in the post-surgical level. Other than Wilsey, Newman, McNutt classification, there are other than 3 classifications, that is called Meyerding classifications, Mercetti and Bertolozzi classification, and the spinal deformity study group. What is Meyerding classification? It is measured on the lateral radiograph. That is, superior end plate of sacrum is divided into 4 equal quadrants. Distance from the posterior edge of the superior vertebral body to the posterior edge of the adjacent inferior vertebral body. It is measured as a percentage of total superior vertebral length. The type 1 is 0 to 25%. Type 2 is 26 to 50%. Type 3 is 51 to 75%. Type 4 is 70 to 100%. Type 5, it is a complete fall of vertebra over the sacrum into the pelvis. That is, spondylolisthesis is more than 100%. Third type classification, Mercetti and Bartolus classification, it is given more importance to the developmental. That is dysplastic, highly dysplastic or low dysplastic. That is again it is divided into lysis with the elongations. Accord, it is divided into traumatic, post-surgery, pathologic, and degenerative changes. What is spinal deformity study group classification of listhesis? It is classified based on the PI. What is meant by PI? It is a pelvic incidence. How to calculate the pelvic incidence? A line drawn perpendicular to the midpoint of the sacral end plate is drawn, and the second line is drawn that same point to the sacral midpoint to the femoral midpoint, femoral head, center of the femoral head. The angle subtended between the two lines is the pelvic incidence. If the pelvic incidence, if pelvic incidence is more, it will be predisposed to spondylolisthesis, because it will go on to like this. It goes to spondylolisthesis. Normally, it is 50 degree. Pelvic incidence less than 45 degree, type 1. Type 2 is 45 to 60 degree. Type 3 is more than 60 degree. It is again low grade. Type 4 is type 4 and type 5 is a high grade. It is a balanced pelvis and unbalanced pelvis. What is maybe balanced pelvis and unbalanced pelvis? If you take this vertebra sagittal section, if balanced pelvis is the C7 plumb line, that is a reference line, falls and either falls on or posterior to the femoral head. Falls on or posterior to the femoral head. That is a balanced pelvis. In unbalanced pelvis, it falls on anterior to the femoral head on lateral radiograph. The balanced pelvis is one in which compensatory increased lumbar lordosis, and decreased thoracic hypothesis is seen to maintain the adequate C7 plumb line or normal sagittal balance. In unbalanced, that is retroverted pelvis. Here, see the retroverted pelvis. The pelvic tilt, the spine cannot accommodate the associated high L5 incidence level, leading to positive forward balance. Coming to the sacropelvic parameters, that is a balanced pelvis and unbalanced pelvis. In balanced pelvis, it is a low pelvic tilt and high sacral slope, that is a low PT and ISS. And unbalanced pelvis, it is opposite. It is high pelvic tilt and low sacral slope. What is meant by pelvic tilt and sacral slope? Again, already explained pelvic instance. Pelvic tilt is a line drawn from the midpoint of the sacral end plate to the vertical reference level. High pelvic tilt predisposed to spondylolisthesis. See that here, high pelvic tilt splits to spondylolisthesis. Midpoint of the sacrum to the center femoral head, and center of the femoral head to vertical reference line. That is what is called sacral slope. A line drawn parallel to the sacral impact and the horizontal reference line. The angle between these lines is called sacral slope. Vertical sacrum causes progressive slippage. What is called a slip angle by Boxall. It is a slip angle is measured from the superior border of L5 vertebra and perpendicular. This is a superior border of the L5 vertebra and perpendicular line from the posterior edge of the sacrum. Angle greater than 45 and 50 degrees associated with the greater degree of slip progressions. It is a better indicator of spondylolisthesis. A slip angle greater than 40 degrees associated with higher probability of and increased rate of progressions. Coming to the symptoms, commonly small is mostly asymptomatic. The pain is associated with the extension and the rotation of the lumbar spine, claudication pain and radicular symptoms. Pain always studied with hip, buttocks and posterior thighs, sciatica from neural compression, pain exacerbated by hyperextension, tight hamstrings and prominent abdomen. This lumbar hyperlordosis, transverse loin grease and absence of waistline is seen. Flattening of the back and Phelan-Dixon sign. What is meant by Phelan-Dixon sign? Here, when the increases slippage, that is, sacrum becomes more vertical. If it becomes more vertical, it impairs the hip hyperextension and compelling the patient to walk into the hip flexor, knee flexor gait. Palpable step is seen, and a tenderness over the pars defect is seen, and hamstring tightness is seen on the leg raising, side leg raising. paraspinal and hamstring tightness seen, and straight leg raising and cross leg rising test is positive if nerve root compression is seen. Coming to the imaging, you got take AP and lateral radiographs. On the oblique radiographs to see the decapitated scotodoxine and lateral flexion and extension sign. It is more important. Why it is more important? Because if it considered to be more present, if when foramen translation or 10 degree of sagittal rotation greater than the adjacent level is identified, if reveals may reveal instability. Ferguson viewed deposit the L5 pedicles, transverse process and the sacral ala more clearly. Ferguson will take a look at caudal 20-degree tilt. You see the four types of type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 uh, spondylolisthesis. This is a flexion and extension view. You see that uh, if it is more than foramen translation or 10-degree sagittal imbalance seen. Ferguson view is taken on a 20-degree caudocephalic AP view. If here it is see the L, it is more L5 vertebra is more seen clearly, and the sacral view sacral is seen more clearly. What is maybe inverted Napoleon hat sign? Here the L5 vertebra is fall on before the sacrum. Before the sacrum. Here see the L5 vertebra is fall before the sacrum. The brim is formed by the L5 vertebral body, and body is formed by L5 vertebral body, and brim is formed by the transverse process. Scotty-Duncan oblique views. What is maybe Ullmann sign? Usually a line drawn from the anti-surface of the diagram. Normally it is projected at in front of the anterior inferior body of the last lumbar vertebra. When it is inserted, it is shows forward displacement. If any role of CT, CT indicates acute stress fractures. PET CT, single photon emission CT, metabolic activity and CT thickening of spots is seen. PET scan is metabolically active. See here you see the pars endoticulus defect. Here SPECT CT shows the increased uptake on seen at the pars endoticulus defect. PET CT is more for pars endoticular activities increase activity in the region of pars endoticularis. If any role of MRI usually visualizes the pars defect, it calls rule out the disc herniation or disc status, and also explain the cause of radiculopathy. Disc it always goes to five grades. Grade and 4 or 5 are disc degeneration. Grade 1 it is a homogeneous bright white clear, and grade 2 is with some horizontal bands is more of normal. Then grade 3 is gray color. Grade 4 and grade 2 black, it is black. Grade 4 and 5 are indicated in the disc degenerations. If you have to clearly understand if L4 and L5 vertebra, L4 disc is involved, L5 root is involved. If L5 and S1 lytic listhesis, if it is existing L5 root is involved. The limitation of techniques, CT, it cannot and unable to detect airless stress reaction, because in airless stress reaction only marrow edema and microtubular reaction is seen. In MRI, it is slightly more difficult. Direct identification of pars defect is more difficult with the MRI. Bone scan cannot identify old pars defect. Risk factors for slip progression: if younger age presentation, females slip angles more than 10 degree, high grade slip, dome shaped sacrum and inclined sacrums. Coming to the management options, non-operative, operative. Non-operative, first grade 1, grade 2 are mostly observations with the activity modifications. Grade 3 and grade 4 requires surgery. Activity grade 2 always exercise, anti-diuretic bracing and activity modifications. If grade 2 activity modification fails, more symptomatic, requires surgery. Coming to the non-treatment options, drugs, NSAIDs, antidepressants, muscle action can be used. Epidural steroid, rehabilitation, traction and braces can be used. In acute, that is stress reaction, that is only marrow edema. 4 weeks of rest can be advised. If asymptomatic and weight-bearing exercise can be advised for 4 weeks. If still asymptomatic, then return to place advised. Coming to the treatment options, direct repair is direct pars repair defect is preserves motion, but is technically difficult. If laminectomy is used, it causes increased instability. If posterolateral fusion is used, it causes improvement of symptoms. If reduction and diffuser fusion is used, it allows correction and add in anti-stability. Anterior and posterior fusion causes additional stability in 360 degree of fusion. Surgicals address a pars defect and associated causes, decompress a foramen synosis, and address a degenerative disc and address a dynamic stability. Operative treatment, usually despite 9 years to 1 years of conservative treatment, persistent tight hamstrings and abnormal gait and a pelvic deformity and a development of neurological deficit and slippage greater than 50 degree and the adolescent with slip greater than 75 degree, even if the patient is asymptomatic. Treatment options: direct repair of pars defect and decompression with fusion without fixation, decompression and diffusion with pedicle screw fixations, posterolateral in situ fixations, partial reduction and fixations. It's a complete reduction, fusion fixations, posterolateral interbody fusion fixations, transforaminal lumbar interbody fusions, anterior interbody fusions. That is the direct repair of pars defect preserves motion segment. Then it fusion removes motion segment. Pars intraarticularis, their repair option is more technically demanding. It is adequate debridement and decortications of the fracture fragments and a local bone coping and osteosynthesis across the graft site. It is acceptable if age is less than 30 years in the absence of disc degenerations. See, pars repair defect with the 4 mm CC screw. After passing the cannulated guideways, here you see the 4 mm cancer screw is passed downward up. Then other than cannulated cancer screw, here use a tension band wiring, there's Scott wiring, pedicle screw hook, buck screw system, and Euro technique also can be used for pars repair defect. Coming to the other than reduction, listhesis reduction. Why reduction is important? It stops the progression of deformity, less cost of pain, full nerve decompressions, better chance of union, restores body position mechanics, improves appearance and self images. The Bradford's criteria for reduction is vertebral slippage more than 60 degree, slip angle more than 50 degree, symptoms uncontrollable by non-operative means age between 12 to 30 degree, 12 to 30 years, and significant cosmetic deformity. It is a laminectomy. It is a posterior processes exist here. The lamina, the superior processes exist here. It causes a decompression, but it adds instability. Without fusion, it causes instability. Gill's laminectomy. Coming to the spinal fusion, types of fusion are interbody. Only two types of fusion. Interbody fusion are posterolateral fusion. Fusion requires bone grafting or devices, vessel devices. Approach to the interbody fusion are anti-interbody fusion, transverse or direct lumbar or extreme lateral or oblique lumbar interbody fusions. Posterior approaches include posterior lumbar or transforaminal lumbar interbody fusions. Interbody fusion removes the intervertebral disc and replacement with a disc replaced with a bone graft or device, that is a spacer or gauge to maintain alignment of the disc height. Devices usually contain bone graft material which facilitate fusions. This is a rectangular bean shaped cage. Other than the kidney shaped cages and banana cages are also available. Posterolateral fusion. Posterolateral graft, it places a bone graft between the transverse process rather than the intervertebral disc space. That is a transforaminal posterior lumbar, anterior lumbar interbody fusion places the bone graft between the intervertebral disc space, but in posterolateral fusion places a bone graft between the transverse process. Approach to the same posterior incision, the laminectomy is typically required to gain access. Interbody fusion, see here anterior lumbar interbody fusions through the abdominal incisions and oblique lumbar interbody fusions. It is just anterior to the psoas muscle. Extreme lumbar or direct lateral extreme lumbar interbody fusion through the psoas muscles. It's a T-leaf transforaminal lumbar interbody fusions. Here it is a posterior lumbar interbody fusions. Coming to the anterior lumbar interbody, here it is an anterior lumbar. Is a through the extreme lumbar or direct lateral. This is oblique lumbar. Here it is a P-leaf. This is a transverse lumbar interbody fusions. Coming to one by one, I will explain shortly. Here it is an anterior lumbar interbody fusions. anti-lumbar interbody fusion either through the transperitoneal or retroperitoneal approaches. What are the it is a percussion part of anti-lumbar interbody fusion uses medical schools. Preserves posterior stabilizing structures. Majority of the ligaments and the capsules are present in the posterior side. If it goes to the posterior approach, these ligaments will be disrupted. No no muscle disruption, no chronic pain will be here. The disadvantage is it is to the risk of injury to the major vessels and injury to the sympathetic plexus. It means it causes retrograde ejaculations. Lateral lumbar are through the transverse muscles causes through the psoas muscle. Because lumbar nerve roots are present here, it causes a crural pain if lumbar nerve root is injured. That is through the psoas muscles. But disadvantage is that L5S1 is not associable with this procedure. In advantage of if it is anterior to the psoas muscle, psoas muscle injury is avoided here, and L5 and S1 vertebra is accessible here. What is posterior lumbar midline posterior incision is placed under here. Three criteria are based: decompresses neural canal, distracts disc space, and stabilizes motion segments. Posterior interbody fusion requires nerve root and dural sac are retracted medially and creating maximum interbody space. Interbody devices inserted bilaterally and packed with a bone for maximum fusion. Pedicle screws dissect adjacent space. Complication of PLF because nerve root is retracted. Nerve root injury is more common here, and inserted durotomy is more common. Wrong level surgery, adjacent level diseases can be seen. TLIF is more newer than the PLIF. Transform lumbar interbody fusions establish the anti-column support while allowing for posterior fixation, thereby importing improved fusion rate because of 360 degree support. Transform lumbar interbody fusion uses the image rectangular space between the transverse process of the vertebral bodies adjacent to the affected disc and the traversing nerve root medially. Here, you will use quadrangular spaces. If no nerve root retraction is needed, a minimal nerve, or if needed, minimal nerve root is retracted. So no nerve root injury is common. In degenerative no instability, you can do laminotomy or fenestration surgery. If instability is present or facial changes and lateral foraminal changes present, PLIF or TLIF can be done. If instability is present, directly go on to the PLIF or TLIF. Gains procedure, it is an historical procedure, resection of the L5 vertebral body with the reduction of the L4 onto the S1, described by Gaines and Nicholas in 1985. Thank you.